Hello, beautiful humans. I'm here today to talk about earth magic. And so basically, humans are now operating at a tiny little fraction of what our capabilities are. But as we are living at the close of this dark age, because this is a dark age that we're living in, and what does that mean? That means that the field of collective consciousness is very distorted, like a very rough ocean where you're in the ocean of consciousness, but you can't see even your hand in front of your face because it's so cloudy and choppy, okay? So collectively as a consciousness, we are in an era where we don't have access to the information. We don't have access to our power. And as each drop in the ocean, which is each one of us, clarifies, we are affecting the whole collective consciousness. We are coming out of a dark age, but we are in a time where the dust has to settle to the bottom of the ocean, and in order for it to be left with this light so we can actually see so consciousness is just information, and our power is simply having awareness of the information and the light that is in us. So most of us operate out of 10% of the fullness of what we are. We put on our smiley face to the outside. We want to look good. We want to be nice. We want to be good boys and girls. Or maybe if you're a guy, you want to be a tough guy, or you want to be whatever the hell you want to be. And this is what we show to the world. So, all those good boys and girls, the rest of the 90% of them might not be so good. And all those tough boys and girls, the rest of the 90% of them might not be so tough, right? So I've been reflecting on this in relationship to the water in the world. So it depends on where you are. If you're in the northeast of the United States, maybe you have a lot of water. But if you're in the Southwest, if you're in California or even in Mexico, which is where I am, then there might be water problems. But I personally am extremely tapped into the realms of magic. Like, magic for me is no big deal. Someone is like, tells me a ghost story or something, or a story about an angel apparition, and they're like all surprised. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. That's normal. Yes, there are angels. Yes, there are fairies. Yes, there are aliens. Don't be surprised. We're just operating with such a small, tiny sliver of all the information that is there. So I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but if you're still here, maybe you find it interesting. But this forest that's behind me is an enchanted forest, and the local people will tell you all kinds of stories about trolls and dwarfs and fairies and all kinds of magical things. And that is there. We just don't have that range of vision. And there is so much, unless you're on mushrooms or something, or if you're schizophrenic. I have a cousin who's schizophrenic, and he sees dwarfs everywhere. He said he lives under his house, and yeah, they're just there. They're nature spirits. So yes, there are nature spirits everywhere. It's not like, oh, do you believe in nature spirits? Of course there's nature spirits. We just, because we're living in a dark age, we don't see all that's going on, okay? But if you want to see magic, go grow a seed. Go grow a freaking seed. Every fruit you eat has infinite number of seeds in it. I'll show you. It's a tropical zone, so I'm hanging out in my underwear and bra. Hope you don't mind. Also, this is a nudist beach, so whatever. Um, okay. Every time I eat a fruit, these are papaya seeds. So like there's, I don't know, hundred hundreds of papaya seeds every time I eat a freaking papaya. That's hundreds of papaya trees. Okay? And so these just sit on my altar, these seeds just sit on my altar, just doing nothing, unless I put them in the ground. And then when I put them in the ground, they grow and they turn into papaya trees. That is freaking magic. So whoever goes to God and says, God, send me a sign. I need a sign. Hello? Everything is a sign. You are a miracle. You are a miracle. Okay, so earth magic. So I'm in this gorgeous valley, and there's a creek at the bottom, and the creek is dry. And I find myself looking out at it, and I think, has it always been dry? Okay, also this is a super magical area. There's fireflies, there like all the locals believe in trolls and stuff. There's like all these apparition stories. This region does really beautiful folk art that's kind of very fantastical. It's very psychedelic in its style, very colorful and like, weird, interesting creatures with like multiple heads or eyes or arms, like nonsensical creatures, right? And also, this area is also famous for using mushrooms as medicine. So, anyways, it's a super magical area, directly magical. So I look out at this dry creek, and this is a dry area because this is only this lush half the year. The other half of the year, it doesn't have leaves. It's like California, and it's even thorny. There's cactuses out there too, even though it looks luscious. So, okay, so I'm looking at the creek, and my mind is not limited to what I know or what I think I know. I like to hang out a lot in the void, in the great fertile void, which is just like the abyss of nothing from where everything and anything can come, even things that we haven't thought of. So if I see a dry creek, I'm not like, oh, we're in a drought. Oh, ooh. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. We are conscious co-creators of this reality. And what would it be like if that creek were flowing? So I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I wonder if it was ever flowing. I wonder what it would take. And I'm like thinking, what kind of altars do I need to make to the fairies? So for the last, ever since the eclipse in May, the second eclipse in May, 90% of my showers have been just with like a jar, like collected rainwater and then jar bathing. And this started right before I came here. I was in California. I'm really going on tangents now, but like I said, if you're still with me, you're still with me. Okay, so yeah, I was in California and I was getting ready to move to Mexico, and I was with my family there. And my family there, they don't really travel, and they don't have a mindset of like hospitality or like yeah, they don't know what it's like to be like a hippie homeless gypsy traveler. So I was at a certain family member's house that happened to have 3 bathrooms and showers, and I was in between houses because I was getting ready to move to Mexico. And I said something like, I could really use a shower now, but I felt like I would have been imposing on them. Like I didn't feel like they got it, or like they're just so comfortable in their routine and like normality that it would really stretch their mind to think about offering a hippie a shower. So anyways, I mentioned it, but then I felt like in order to actually get the shower, I would have had to push more, and I just am not into pushing. So I was like, fuck it, I guess I'm gonna be stinky and gross. But then I went to stay at a friend's house who just had raw land, and he is a traveler, and he does understand what it's like to need a shower and what it's like to, just need everything. And so we set up some kind of makeshift shower, like a camping shower out on this raw land by the American River outside of Sacramento, like in Coloma area. I was so grateful for that shower, and it was so luscious. It was really beautiful, and it was like a fairy shower. So I'm out there, I'm naked in the woods, and I'm just like enjoying the water so much. And the sun is on my skin, and the water is cold, and it feels so good. And the eclipses mark certain flavor deciding energies for the next chapter, and an eclipse, whatever's happening on the eclipse, can affect the next 6-7 months. And it was very strange for me to be taking that kind of like bucket bath, shower, fairy bath in California, because we have so many nice showers there easily available. But little did I know that it truly was indicative of what would come. So here I am. It's pretty luscious here in some ways where I am, but I got here 3 days before the hurricane hit, and so we still have some infrastructural damage that we just haven't fixed yet. Like, I don't know if you can see the roof. Well, anyways, there's a tarp up there. So every time it rains, depending on if the tarp is in place, like sometimes it rains through the ceiling. The tarp is in a good place right now. But anyways, I've been collecting rainwater to shower with. We don't have our plumbing hooked up, but I've really been enjoying. Okay, so tangent is kind of looping back around now. I collect the rainwater, and then I throw out at least three jarfuls of water, like for the fairies, every time I shower. And I say, here's for the water, and here's for joy, and here's for abundance, or for the fairies, or for whatever. And I just offer that up. And so I'm looking out at the dry creek, and I'm like, what does it take? Like, what kind of offerings do I need to make to get this creek flowing? And I don't care if it's logical, okay? I don't care if it's rational. I don't care what kind of ecology I'm in, okay? No, we are co-creators. Life is magical. Life is magical. My papaya seeds are magical. We are magical. We are magical. Life is a miracle. So, yeah, so I think very easily in terms of magic. So I'm just like, I don't know what kind of magic I have to do to make this happen, but this is going to be cool. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but okay, I heard the mission, I heard the call. And so there actually are a lot of workshops around here. There's a lot of people living off grid, a lot of people fleeing the matrix, a lot of people just doing the right thing, and living in harmony with nature. So there actually are a lot of water workshops around here that actually go over the technical side of collecting and conserving rainwater and cleaning it so it can even be drinking water and things like that. So really luscious systems. So I'm like, okay. Beyond the magical side of things, which is my forte, there's a technical side of things. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm super busy right now, but I'm going to have to start going to these water workshops of people who have created effective water systems in the area in this climate. So that's on my to-do list. But honestly, it's probably going to take me a couple years to really get my feet wet in all the technical aspect of doing this water architecture. Okay, so then another thing happened. A friend of mine connected me with a Canadian refugee. There's a lot of refugees in Mexico now from around the world, from Italy, from France, from Israel, from California. People who don't want to be a part of the fuckery, the fascist system that is being implemented right now. And in some places it's been stricter than others, especially Canada. So a lot of people fled Canada like in a hurry, and they're kind of still in shock here because I love Mexico. I've always loved Mexico. I sing traditional Mexican songs. I speak Spanish. I feel very at home here. But there's some people who were just kind of forced to come here as political refugees, and they maybe don't speak Spanish, they maybe haven't been here, don't feel at home here, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so I met one such refugee who had an amazing setup in his home country. And I was talking to this person about permaculture and water setups, like miraculous water setups that seem to go beyond nature or against nature, or that would surprise you to see. And I thought, oh my gosh, and I said this to this person, I was like, I thought I was just going to have to use magic to do this, but then talking to them, I realized, no, they explained technically how to create the water flow. So I'm at the very beginning of this journey of understanding the technical aspect of permaculture, of just the magic of co-creating with nature. And something else I've been thinking about a lot, I mean, there's so many layers to this, and I've just been swimming and dancing in this magical wonderland, and so I get a lot of ideas, right? And especially because, yeah, my mind, it's really loves creativity, and it's not limited to like what we think is possible or what we know. So what was I going to say? Oh, someone was recently also telling me that in Colombia, it's common that where a vein of water goes, if you feed the earth salt and sugar near where there is a spring, you call the water to that, which makes absolute perfect scientific sense because salt and sugar in our bodies call and retain the water. So if you are looking for where a spring might, bubble up on the Earth's surface, if you put the salt and sugar there, you're calling the water, but you're also feeding the Earth. So I guess, what am I saying? I'm saying that we're co-creating with reality, and there are no limits. And we are only limited by what we think is possible. Then there's all these cases where you see, like, you can see it on YouTube. And honestly, I haven't even watched them yet, but I feel that this is my homework to go watch them, or at least listen to them. I don't really like to look at the screen that much. But there's like oases in the desert, right? Oases in the desert where you create a whole ecology, like you plant the right trees and it calls the water. I have a friend in California, and she was in a dry area and she was planting redwoods. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? It's very dry here. And she was watering them. And she was like, the redwoods actually have their own ecosystem. The redwoods call the water. So if she could get the redwoods to grow tall enough, they could create their own condensation. And I thought she was kind of crazy, but now I'm beginning to have all those same kinds of crazy thoughts myself. So let me tell you one more thing. I've spent time in the Amazon, and we all know that the Amazon has a whole pharmacy. It's a whole pharmacy of plants that are medicinal, magical, interdimensional, healing for your body, healing for your mind, healing for your spirit. There's just, actually, the pharmaceutical companies in their early days would go to the Amazon and find out the healing plants and then create chemical synthetic versions of these healing plants that they could then patent, and then they could charge for them. So, because nature's free. So this is why they want to genetically modify all the fruit and stuff, so that you can't just get infinite fruit out of every fruit that you eat. Okay, so in the Amazon, the people who live there, they actually cultivated the jungle. Okay? Cultivated the jungle. What does that mean? That means that they consciously chose which plants to plant and even have go wild, like permaculture. So this mountain that I'm on, I don't know if you can see, but there's a gazillion butterflies. all different kinds, so many kinds of butterflies I haven't seen before. And they're born here. I think they're born here and then they go out flying around the world because they eat all of the leaves around my house and then they hatch into butterflies. So I want to cultivate certain kinds of fruit and flowers in this place, but in a wild way, that they will go wild, okay? So what am I saying? I'm saying that if the earth has water problems, next chapter of my rant. Everything that's happening in the world is a reflection of us, okay? Why does California have so many fires? It is symbolic for greed. The fires that you're feeling are your own greed, okay? So I arrived here in Cipolite 3 days before a hurricane. And it was also, I feel like the humans here, including myself, we were anchoring in the energy of the hurricane and it was reflecting us. So natural disasters, earthquakes, rain, lack of rain, it's all us, okay? We are co-creating this reality. So I'm here and I'm looking out and there's like a gorgeous ocean view. And there's a dry creek. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why the dry creek? What's up with California's drought? What's up with the water problems? And if you think about it from a dream perspective, in dreams, the ocean represents the collective unconscious, okay? I feel like the video is really dark. There, that's better. Okay. So the ocean represents the collective unconscious. So basically the way I see it is that humans have sent so much of their own consciousness and their own life awareness and their own life force energy into the deep, dark depths. Basically, we are not operating with our awareness in the light. Like so much of what we are, of our juice, of our life force, we just send it all to the deep depths. What does this mean? This means we're operating consciously in the 10% of what we are, and the rest we're sending into the deep, dark ocean. So as a collective, the more that we operate with a conscious awareness of the fullness of what we are, the more water we will have, and the more access to the water we will have. And the more consciously we use our waters, the water you drink, the water you pee, the water you bathe in, the water you water your plants with, the more consciously we interact with our waters, the more of our waters that will be in our conscious awareness and available for our conscious use. That's what I'm saying. So in addition to taking the water workshops and figuring out the technical side of how to make the spring flow, and in addition to creating fairy altars, fairies are the spirits that take care of the natural realm. They're basically like the angels for the trees and waterfalls and fire. So the other thing that we can do to fix the water problem is work on becoming more conscious. So I just think, more plant medicine, because plant medicine breaks our ego and Our ego is that little thin line that is holding that 10% of what we think we are. Our ego is what is the veil that is between what we think we are and what we really are, because we're afraid to see it. We're afraid to see that we're not just a nice little, nice little, pretty little, skinny little girl. We are, but when you take plant medicine, it softens this veil so that you have access to the fullness of what you are, and also the fullness of the other dimensions, including the spirit realms, including your own ancestors and the plant spirits and all of that stuff. So, okay, one more thing. If you are a woman, I highly recommend beginning immediately to give your menstrual blood to the earth with intention and with love, with consciousness. Just begin your own process of what that means for you. You can get a diva cup and you can feed it to the earth. You can save it in a jar and feed it to the earth. Just try it. Just try it. This is your most potent life force energy. And men, just be conscious about what you're doing with your sperm. Are you mating with the internet? Are you making little AI babies? Maybe. Not to, I don't know, not to say that that's necessarily bad. I'm just saying, just be aware of what you're doing with your life force energy, because you are a powerful creator. And if you want to find out more about me, you can see my website, lovelikeanocean.com. Thank you, beautiful people. Remember, you're magic and you're creating this reality.